Welcome to Game Changers with Molly Fletcher, where we take you behind the scenes with peak performers to learn what makes them tick and discover how you can apply their lessons to your life. I'm your host, Molly Fletcher. Named one of the world's 50 greatest leaders by Fortune, Dawn Staley is writing the playbook for success in basketball and beyond. She's the head coach of the defending NCAA women's basketball champs, the University of South Carolina's Gamecocks, a program Dawn put on the map when she took the job 9 years ago. Dawn has had success at every level as a Hall of Fame player and coach, a three-time Olympic gold medalist as a player. Dawn was recently named the new coach of the USA Olympic team. She lives by two mottos: a disciplined person can do anything, and dare to do what you don't want to get what you do want. On today's episode, Dawn shares what it took to build a winning culture at South Carolina, the key ingredients of championship teams, and how to develop young leaders. Let's get right to it. Here's my conversation with Dawn Staley. Dawn Staley, it is so awesome to have you on. You know, we connected a few years ago back in I think it was 14. You introduced me for a keynote, and I think you had just been named one of the world's 50 greatest leaders by Fortune magazine. So I have absolutely no idea why on earth you were introducing me. But, you know, you were sharing the pages of Fortune with the Pope and the Dalai Lama, and I think it was Warren Buffett. But anyway, it's been so awesome to see you with all the success. Congrats on the national championship, and I'm so excited to have you on today. Thanks so much for taking a minute.
Well, thanks, Molly. I don't know how and why I made such a prestigious list, but certainly I'm appreciative of it and hope that what I'm doing will help someone else in this profession and in the world of sports, because sports has been a great vehicle for things like this to happen for me.
Well, it certainly is a platform that I know, and basketball's been so good to you, and you've been so good to basketball. You know, I'll start with asking you this. When did you know that coaching was the right decision for you? Because it feels like that you've really found your lane, of course. So tell me a little bit about when you knew it was the right thing and how really coaching, I think, Dawn, for you is so much bigger than basketball.
Mm-hmm. You know, I've never wanted to be a coach. That's number one. That's kind of hard to believe, even from someone that just finished their 17th year in coaching. But when I really found this is the thing that I'm supposed to be doing, is when your players have become a part of your being. You know, my players are now, you know, some of my best friends. My players are, you know, ones that they keep me going. They energize me, not just the current ones, the former ones, the future ones. You know, they just give me a certain energy to keep going, to want to do this, to even with the bad and the ugly, because I know, you know, the good outweighs all of those things. But it's a feeling. I mean, you know when you know. I mean, you know when it's an incredible feeling that you have, that you wake up and you know you're going to make an impact in somebody's life. And sometimes they don't know it yet, because you got to go through some strife. You got, you know, everything isn't smooth and easy. And, you know, so you have to figure out, you know, ways in which to help people through, young people through doing things the right way. So the path to success is theirs for the keeping.
Well, and you know, you do. I mean, it from everything that I've read and knowing you a little bit, it seems like it's so much more than, you know, putting up points, right? That you care about these girls away from the court, both on and off, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to point to the wins and the losses and all of that, but you know, that coaching and impacting lives and really has very little to do with the Xing and Oing. Very, very little. I would say it's probably, about 20% of what we do and in lives. 20%. Because if you get the other 80%, which is real life stuff together, the other 20% is smooth sailing. So the basketball is a small part of that. Practice, 3 hours a day is a very small percentage of the 24 hours, the other 21 hours a day. So you almost have to look at it like that. If we can take care of the other 21 hours a day, the thing that we love most, which is the basketball, it will be taken care of, and you can take care of business in those 3 hours and not have to deal with, other issues.
Sure. Wow, I like the way you frame that up. That's so real and so true, I think, right?
It is.
When you took the South Carolina job in '08, you really had to build the program from scratch. And, so many people that listen to our podcast are maybe business owners, or they're growing a division inside of a large organization. So when you think about that, what appealed to you about that opportunity to really take it from, zero to where it is now, which is incredible, the success that you've had?
Well, for all of my life, and I've been drawn by challenges every step of the way. I've been just attracted to challenges. And some people some people may look at challenges as trouble, because some people or young people may feel like they attract trouble. They always find a way to make the wrong decision. And I like to kind of flip it and say, they're just challenges. They're just tests that you have to take in life. And there are tests that you have to take professionally in order for you to better yourself. I looked at South Carolina as a huge challenge. And being a grassroots person, I like to build and be a part of the building process, and also like to be a part of naysayers saying that it can't get done. I do consider myself an odds beater, so I just feel like it was an opportunity to play in one of the best conferences in the country and to do it against incredible coaches, the likes of Pat Summitt and Andy Landers and Melanie Balcom, all of those coaches who had excelled at a high level. They've won national championships. They've been to Final Fours. They won SEC championships. So if you're at the table having to compete against those type of legends, you're going to sail or sink. But you can't be afraid to leap out there and challenge yourself in that way professionally. And that's what I did.
Well, and how, so for example, tell me about when you landed maybe your first big recruiter, because obviously that's tough, particularly when you're building something from scratch, right? Getting somebody to believe in your vision. And, and the other piece of that is it's not, you've done so much on the court, but you've rallied the community behind your team. I think you're now leading the country in attendance. So how did you get everybody behind your vision when there was nothing there from the beginning? And how'd you get the right people on the court, get the community around you? Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I'm going to ask you your first question, which is, how did I feel about when we landed our first big recruit? We've had a lot of big ones, and I would say big ones in different stages of our tenure here at South Carolina. Probably one of the biggest recruits at the time was Tiffany Mitchell, who, she was a guard that was ranked in the top 50. And top 50 guards were hard to come by here at South Carolina. So, but the way that she did it, she didn't wait it out until the end of her senior year. She did it when nobody was looking, when nobody, felt like it was the best time for her to do it. And she did it, I believe, in February of her junior year. So to have her commit to our vision that early, it helps you. It boosts your confidence tremendously as a coach, and you see bigger things you see the things that you have seen for the program come to fruition and make it believable and possible. Then we had another recruit, Lisa Welch, who was the best player in South Carolina at the time. She took a little bit longer to make the decision, but she did sign in the early signing period, which was tremendously helpful for us to know that we have that caliber player and we can draw, and keep the hometown talent right here.
And Dawn, what are you telling? We're sitting in the living room, right? I mean, you're having to build trust quickly. Obviously, you're seeing them, out at games, et cetera. But get me inside of that and how you've done that, right? Because that's hard to do. That's hard to do, to get them to believe in your vision, to want to jump on the train with you, and for them to trust you fairly quickly and commit to what you're trying to build. Tell me some of even the words that you use, the language, the way you did that, because I think that is really hard to do.
Well, I think the opposite. I think it's easy to do when you're speaking from the heart. And when you speak from what you see, for this program, what you can do for, I think the most important piece to all of this is, I know that the prospect is important. The recruit is super important. But for us, we got to go to, who is it that is significant? Who is the one that's in this prospect's ear? Who is the one that's spending the most time with this prospect? Because they are listening to that person. So, and a lot of times it's their parent, it's their mother. So we really concentrated on the mothers. When you can reach down and, because the love of a mother of her daughter, is quite incredible. The bond that is created is pretty special. And we happen to pick those two that I talk about, and then I'll later talk about Asia Wilson. Those three had an incredible bond with their mother. So, if I had to call the mother weekly, I would call the mother weekly. Just to check in to see how things are going, just reiterate the vision that we have for their child, and that's graduation. That is exposing them to things in which, if it didn't work out with basketball, that we have a network of professional women that will hire them in a heartbeat, because they know how this basketball team continuity and the chemistry and the decision making that goes into what makes a great addition to anyone's corporation. And then the basketball part was easy for us to make the connection with. And you kind of make the connection with the player when it comes to the basketball, because that's all they want to hear. They don't want to hear about what can you do for me, after college, because they think that after college, I'm going to the WNBA. So we kind of compartmentalized how we approach things. And we were very calculating in how we did that, because, 16, 17, 18-year-olds, they don't want to hear about that. They only want to hear about the fun parts of college, and they want to hear about the basketball, the other stuff, the academics, and, the after your college career, what we do for our players as far as community service, having them meet with mentors that are in our mentoring program. These are professional women. They don't want to hear about those things. The parents want to hear about those things.
Right. Oh, I remember as an agent sitting in the room, right, and the parents wanted to know about the sort of the post-career planning that we would do, and the athlete was, hey, I'm going to pitch in the big leagues for 15 years, right? And that's pretty unique.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you get the community so locked in? I mean, to be leading the country in attendance. I mean, granted, right, you've gotten it done, right? But at the end of the day, at the beginning, how'd you rally the community around you? In other words, how'd you create your team around you in and around South Carolina?
Well, it's the same way. I mean, it's grassroots. It is inviting fans to the office to come hang out. It is stopping in the grocery store and talking to them. It is pounding the pavements. We tried to, we've knocked on doors. We've given our season ticket holders, we gave them door-to-door service. We plan themes, our team, our yearly themes. We plan with our fans in mind. So we've made them a part of our family. We've named them, instead of fans, we've named them FAMs.
Oh, that's cool. Yep.
We feel like they're a part of our family, and they feel vested with that. There are diehards. Like, it's a lifestyle for them. And we understand that, and we cater to that. And we make sure that we have them in mind in everything that we do, because they created something here that, no one thought would be possible. Even Even me, I'll be quite honest with you, Molly. I only concentrated on the basketball and the products that we put on the floor. That's the only thing that I really concentrated on. I didn't see, our building filled. I didn't see, leading the nation in attendance for the past 3 years. I didn't see any of that. The fans painted that picture. So you have to allow people to do their part. And when they start coming in, we felt like we just got to continue to do what we're doing, be accessible to our fans, stop and talk to them.
I love it. Well, one of the things Tom Izzo always says, I've asked him before, what's a big differentiator for him? And he says time. I spend time with my players. I spend time with my coaches. I spend time in the community. That's kind of what I'm hearing you say, right? I mean, you take time. So I just have so much respect for that. I mean, that's built through hard work and time. And so tell me this, what are some of the ingredients of a championship team? I mean, you've done this, right? What are the things that go into creating an environment, a group of people that come together to execute against one goal?
I mean, it takes a great deal of discipline. You hear me talk about discipline all the time with our team. I have them look up the definition of it. I have them explain how they feel about that particular word. Trust. I mean, all these adjectives that will describe what it takes to be successful. And I think the underlining key to all of it is communication. We lose a lot of things in the way that we communicate or the way that we don't communicate. I think it's really important. And the players don't always like this, but, they think we're nags as coaches because we check in with them. We see how their lives are going on. We feel like that we're in constant connection with them. Constant connection with them because if not us, it's somebody else. If they're listening to somebody else, then that's when it can infiltrate what you're trying to do as a team. So we try to create a tremendous bond amongst each other, really tight. And that's a bond that, we don't let parents in. We don't let siblings in. We don't let significant others in. It's a bond. It's a team bond. It's a bond for just us. And when you create that, you form this sisterhood that is tighter than tight. And it almost forms it to the point of the players. It's almost the players against the coaches at times.
Sure.
I mean, it's so strong.
Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine, which is actually, I would imagine, pretty awesome in some regards. And I'm curious, when you sort of speak to that, what role do captains play on your team, right? You hear a lot of coaches talk about how important it is to have great captains, great leaders. Somebody as a player that's on the court that you can lean on to get messages to your team. Tell me a little bit about your philosophy around that and what role they play for you at South Carolina.
Well, I mean, leaders and captains are truly, an important element to any team success. A captainless team won't go far. And it can't just happen. We like to think here in South Carolina that our leaders leave a legacy of leadership. Like when Elena Coates and Tiffany Davis left our basketball teams after this year, they left a legacy of leadership to Asia Wilson. And before that, it was Tiffany Mitchell and Alicia Welch. They left a legacy of leadership. And I can go down the line. It doesn't have to be led the same way because leaders have all different styles in which, they operate. I think the most important thing is they have respect for, their teammates. They are great communicators. And they're not afraid to make mistakes. I think a lot of times young people feel like leaders have to be perfect. And they don't. They don't.
Right.
Leaders just know when they've made a mistake, they own it and they move on. That's what our leaders have been about is, and I talk to them a lot. I talk to our leaders and our captains a lot because sometimes they don't know what to do in certain situations. And I don't always tell them what to do. I'll just kind of ask enough questions to where they can formulate an opinion to make a decision. because I'm err on allowing them to problem solve. It's a tool that will be helpful for them throughout their entire life. If I'm going to tell them what to do, every time something comes up, it's not them, it's me. Although I'm asking the questions that, that lead to what I feel will be the best solution, but they're coming up with it on their own because I'm talked through it.
Yeah, I hear that from a lot of leaders, right? Is just the power of just asking a whole lot of questions and letting the people on the other side come up with the answers. And then I think you get more buy-in, obviously, when we do it that way. You talked about slumps and struggling, whether it's with an individual or a team. How do you, as a coach, how do you lead them back on track, right? How do you get an athlete who's maybe in a slump or a struggle? How do you get them sort of to embrace the confidence, the belief that they need to be able to execute?
Well, I think, again, we talk a lot about this because, having confidence and gaining confidence and losing confidence it's a really fine line. So we talk a lot about not getting too high with the highs or too low with the lows, and just find a way to maintain in the middle, so your dip isn't too far down or too far up, and you're able to manage things that way. But again, it's communication, and we talk to them. Why do you think you're in this slump? Let's look at the numbers. Or we're so ahead of it that, if it has to do with basketball, we'll just get the numbers and we'll talk about it. And we'll make them feel good we'll show them film with them. Here's what it looks like. Here's what it looks like when it's going through the hole. Or here's what it looks like, when you're getting defensive stops. And here's what it looks like when you're not. What are the differences that you see? And we bring them in and we allow them to speak on it. And then we get down to it, and then they feel a lot better about it. And, if it's not a quick turnaround, we just continue to talk, or we just let it go, because when you continue to talk about it,
absolutely, it makes it bigger.
Yes. So it all depends on the player and how they process information and how they take information and what the level of confidence that they have.
What's your cadence for communication with your coaching staff and with your players? Obviously, there's the random engagements and encounters that happen all the time, right? When we got to solve problems or deal with issues or opportunities. But how do you as a leader engage with your staff, and what structure exists around that, or with your players? How does that work for you?
There's really no difference. I'm pretty much a straight shooter. So, we have frank and open conversations, all of us. There isn't anything that I haven't heard, seen, done in 17 years that's going to surprise me. So we might as well just have these open conversations so we can get things done. And I've been very fortunate to have friends. I don't just have colleagues. I have friends. They're my family. So when you have people that understand where you're coming from, meaning, we only want the best. We only want, the best results. Are there times in which I've had to apologize? Absolutely. There are times that people have had to apologize to me, but we all know at the end of the day, we want what's best. So we just have open conversations about each other, open conversations about strategy, open conversations about how we problem solve. And I don't want everybody to agree with me. I really don't. I want to see the flip side of it. I want to see, what's the opposition? What are the other, things out there that we could be missing? Because within those opinions, you find solutions. And that's what I welcome. I just want, to be successful and do it the right way.
Yeah. Well, you've created an environment where people can give you feedback, right? Which I think is not always easy to do, but incredibly important. I believe, and I know I continue to hear that from great people like you, how important that is and how powerful that is, right? For us as leaders and for people as leaders to be a little bit vulnerable and to embrace that feedback is huge. What advice have you received from other coaches or leaders that's really stuck with you over the years?
The biggest advice is just be yourself. Don't compromise you, for something, quick and easy and people look at as success. Because sooner or later it will catch up to you. So be true to who you are. Be true to, your principles, your core values. Doesn't mean you can't change, how you approach things and where you are in your career, but you certainly don't want to, jeopardize your integrity. And, people in our profession may or may not like me, but they know that, yeah, I stand for the greater good of the sport. And I want to sleep well at night knowing that I at least attempted to do things the right way. So that's the advice that I've gotten from some heavy hitting coaches like, Coach Cheney, John Cheney from Temple, and Tar Vanderveer. All of those coaches that have had tremendous success and dealing with people and working with people, and, just making sure that, I definitely take care of the people that are around me, because, you can't do this alone. I know I get a lot of praise about the job that has taken place here in South Carolina, but I mean, it takes a village. I mean, it takes a village of people to raise a program, and it takes more than me. Trust me, I don't take for granted the great people that I have around me, that I work with every day. I don't take for granted, because it doesn't happen every place that you go.
Well, yeah, that's cool that you give credit to the team, because there's no doubt, winning championships is without a doubt. I know a team effort. When you think about, I'm the mother of 3 daughters. My husband and I have 3 girls, and they all play different sports. And I was a student athlete, passionate about the impact that sports can have on kids. But there's a part of me that's worried about where sports is today for kids as it relates to pressure, oftentimes, that I think some of these kids are getting. What's your advice to parents in communities that have kids that are playing sports? What do you think their role in that process is as it relates to creating an environment in which their kids can flourish, learn, grow, evolve, and maybe or maybe not they go on to the next level? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think, and I've had a lot of involvement with parents. And parents, I truly believe, only want the best for their children, but they should be parents. A lot of times kids that are playing sports, your kids just want you to be an ear and listen. They don't want you to problem solve for them all the time. So, just being a parent and just encouraging them, and also being a parent and telling them good, bad, and indifferent. And it's not siding with the coach. It is just listening to your daughter or your son. Like, I do get, maybe some of our players who talk to their parents who are heavily involved in their child's careers. Because a lot of them, some of them, not a lot of them, some of them, their kids are their investment. They invested a lot. I'm talking time, money.
To get them to that point, sure.
Yeah, to get them to that point. So I understand that element, but I think a lot of times your kid has to put it somewhere, and they're trusting you as a parent, and they're giving you what they're feeling, and it's not, something to fight a battle over. It's not something that you always have to go to the coach and approach it. Now, if something's inappropriate going on, absolutely approach the coach. But if it's just coaching, and if it's just, maybe playing time, or if it's just, maybe something the coach said, or, if it's something the coach did within the confines of the, competition, I think, just handling it as a parent, and putting yourself maybe in the coach's shoes to say, a coach is like a parent. Sometimes parents make mistakes. I take that approach to it, because I look at our players as I don't have any kids, but I look at them as
they're probably your kids in a way, right?
Yeah. My kids. And how would I handle them? Do they disappoint me at times? Absolutely. Do they make me super proud? Absolutely. And I like to balance both of those things. If they, if I'm critiquing them and I think they need to, do better, and I raise my voice, then what I do is I balance it with, when they do something great, I raise my voice. I raise my voice because I don't want them thinking that I only scream, when something's going wrong. But no, I balance it. When they did something great and they executed something, I'm high-fiving, I'm chest bumping, I'm screaming at the top of my lungs.
Right, you're giving them the energy back both ways.
Yeah, so you have to have that. But I think, parenting is hard. It's hard because you want what's best for your kid. And sometimes you can't see the big picture. Like coaches have to, you know, coaches have, 12 to 15 kids, players, and sets of parents that they have to deal with when the parent is only seeing their daughter, in my case, or their son, in the case of just sports in general. So we got to see big picture. And it's a process. It's a process for your kids to learn and to grow.
Yeah, sometimes when I'm sitting on the sideline when our girls are competing, I say to myself, what is this really all about, right? Like sometimes when I'm frustrated with something or thinking about something, right? I mean, it's sort of what are we really chasing? What is this really all about? And, I think sports is just an absolutely amazing platform to build character in kids, to teach them how to get out there and solve problems, to be a part of a team. I mean, the intangibles that kids learn through sports is, to me, one of the most special things that we can give, our young people, certainly in the world today. One of the things I wanted to ask you is, you played for a championship in college at UVA. Now you've won it as a coach at South Carolina, right? You played in the WNBA at the highest level. Now you've put multiple players out into the WNBA. You've won Olympic gold medals representing the U.S. and now you're coaching Team USA. I mean, wow. I mean, when you just say it, it's awesome. What is the greatest gift basketball has given to you as a person and as a woman?
It's given me probably an insatiable appetite to be successful. Basketball, I call it the gift that keeps on giving, because it's been so great to me. I mean, it is, a lot of people turn to relationships, or a lot of people turn to, I don't know, just different, outlets. Well, it's been my outlet for all of my life. I mean, all of my life. So, I've never cheated on it. It is the thing that makes me incredibly happy, because it's given me this passion, to keep going and to give back. Like, I feel like I'm forever indebted to basketball. Forever. So I'm just repaying. And while I'm repaying, it keeps giving. So I don't know if I'll ever be able
Well, you're repaying all right, girl. You're doing it. At the end of every show, we do a segment. It's called Rapid Fire, where I sort of fire off some questions and you sort of fire back some quick answers already. You ready for this?
Yeah.
I know you're going to be good. All right, one word to describe you.
Competitive.
What's your morning routine? How do you start every day?
Today Show.
The Today Show?
Yes.
Okay. What's your favorite food?
Potatoes cooked any kind of way.
Nice. All right. So, but you got to get your protein in too, girl. No carb loading too much.
I know, right?
What's your favorite hobby?
I like puzzles. I like doing jigsaw puzzles.
Is that how you take your mind off things sometimes?
I do. I don't get a chance to do them very often, but
I bet.
Yeah, that's what I love to do.
Right, like maybe, I don't know, Christmas Day, you maybe throw a quick puzzle down with some family?
I actually just started one like a week ago. So
Okay.
I'm sitting down each, an hour here and an hour there.
That's awesome. What is your biggest fear?
Poverty.
Poverty?
Yep.
Wow. Why is that?
Man, because I grew up in it.
Yep.
And I just feel like to go back to that place where you feel like you have no help, to feel like you only have hope, it's not a good place to be. I think I enjoy where I am now, because with my position, I can help so many more people by sharing my story and hopefully helping them or giving them that ray of hope that they need to keep pushing. Because I'm an odds beater, and the people that are in similar situations that I've been in, I just want to be a ray of hope so they can be odds beaters and share their story and help people along the way.
Wow, I love that. That is that's good stuff. What's your biggest pet peeve?
Probably waiting for people.
You're impatient?
I don't think I'm impatient, but like if if someone's like picking me up from the airport,
they better be there.
Yeah,
you better be there. I hear you, girl. I'm with you. Or if you're going to dinner, let's go. Be on time. Who's a person you'd most like to meet?
Dead or alive?
Sure.
I would have loved to have met Princess Diana.
Oh, cool. Okay. What's one thing on your bucket list?
I would like to visit all the zoos across the world.
Really? Well, so tell me about that. What's the draw there?
I don't know. I just, I like to kind of watch animals and see how they, see how they communicate and see how they get along in tight quarters.
Yeah. It's probably not unlike, the real world, right? All of
Right.
us. So
Right.
my last question today is what game changer inspires you and why? And the podcast is Game Changers. So the definition would be sort of someone who consistently executes, that consistently executes with high character. They're a leader. They connect. They inspire others. Who's somebody that inspires you that behaves that way and why?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. It's probably going to have to be Beyonce.
Really? Have you met her?
No, I've never met her.
All right. Well, we got to get that done.
I don't know if I want to meet her because I want to keep this image.
Oh my God. So what is it about her that inspires you?
Everything she does is well thought out. I think when you see her perform, she gives it up. Like she goes hard all the time. Like she goes like it's her last performance, no matter, if she performed the night before, whether you're in the middle of the tour, her tour, you're seeing her in the beginning or you're seeing her at the end. You see her outperform herself every time she steps on the floor, and she goes hard all the time.
It's like the last minute of a game when it's tied. That's how she is all the time.
All the time.
Wow.
And I like the fact that she's starting to use her voice a little bit more. Because it's powerful. It's powerful. She's got a lot of ears to, that will listen to her.
Sure. Giving back to your community is something I know that's so important to you, which is just absolutely fantastic. I just have so much admiration for that. How do you ingrain that in your kids so that they have that same gratitude and perspective of the uniqueness of the platform that you have and how to use it in a way that is so impactful and so positive?
Well, I think a lot of times, I don't force them to do it. But here's what I do is you have to include kids on decisions. I ask them, like, what is the things that they would like to do in the community? If it's, Boys and Girls Club, if it's going to senior citizens' homes, is it, I give them the choices of doing it or what they like to do.
Sure. So they're vested.
They're vested. Vested. So that's what we do. We make them vested, and then they become a part of it. And then, from them going out and doing these community service events, it triggers something else in them. They meet people, they forge relationships with different people, and that's what they'll remember, because we end up feeling better than the people that we're going to see.
Amen. Totally. Sure.
Oh, you get a different perspective of it, and you want to do it more because you felt so good about it. So
Sure.
That's how we approach it.
What a gift that you're giving those kids. Dawn, thanks so much for being on today. I can't thank you enough, and I can't wait to watch you defend that championship this year, girl. Congrats.
All right. Thanks, Molly. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure and an honor, and I'll be cheering for you. All right, girl?
Okay. All right. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks, as always, for listening to Game Changers with Molly Fletcher. If you like the show, be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts. There you can listen to previous episodes and leave us a review, which helps other people find out about the show. For more about me, visit mollyfletcher.com. Until next time, stay curious and be bold.